Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Huddle, a black and gold podcast with your host with the most, Mr. Gage. Ryan, how you doing, Gage?
Oh, sensational. That's my co-host, Ron Mont. Ron, how are you, pal, on this lovely, lovely day?
Whoa, whoa.
It is
Um,
it's a weird time.
oh my God. Does anybody feel like it's just really black outside and there's no clouds and it's just really dark and foggy and you can't see but 10 feet in front of you? Is that how you feel right now, Steelers fans? I'm sad that you do, man, because I'm gonna tell you something, man. If Yins have a collection of terrible towels and you get all amped up when you hear Renegade, then you're in the right place, man. Because we got your back here for sure. We're a bunch of Yinzers and we're here to talk nothing but Pittsburgh Steelers football on the huddle. So, Gage, you have something you want to
I
enlighten
want
us
us to,
with.
yeah, I want to give us a little bit of a jumping off point here.
Yes, please do, sir, in this very odd time we are now.
So I saw a lot of discourse about Mike Tomlin stepping down and whatnot, and kind of the
Yes,
reaction from Steeler fans and things of that nature. And
yes.
it's two camps, right? There's the first camp that kind of sees the situation for what it was. Yeah, they make the playoffs and then they get blown out in the wild card round. Well, they got to change something up. That's camp one. But then there's camp two that I would imagine doesn't pay a mass amount of attention to the Steelers. That's just flabbergasted at the concept that Steeler fans will be kind of tired of the Mike Tomlin era after 19 years. So I just wanted to kind of read something off real quick because I have some notes here for
Please
the first
do.
time ever. For the first time ever on this show, I have some notes. Isn't that great?
Dun, dun, dun. I mean, this must be serious, man. If he's got
I,
notes for the first time
I,
ever. All right, seriously.
so on one hand, Mike Tomlin coached for 19 years in Pittsburgh. Never had a losing season. I know. Get your booze out now. No, but never had a losing season. That is very impressive, and it is something that deserves credit. Um,
Okay.
at the same time, at the same time, Mike Tomlin, through his 19 years, had 4 seasons where he won a playoff game.
Yeah,
4 out of 19.
yeah.
His last 7 playoff appearances, he went 0 and 7.
Mhm.
0 and 7. He has now set an NFL record, or at least tied it with Marvin Lewis for most consecutive playoff losses. In that same time frame, he has also set an NFL record by losing 5 straight playoff games by double digits. No other team has done that in the history of pro football but the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin, among like long-term head coaches, has the third worst winning percentage in the playoffs of all time.
Mhm.
And these are all games you got to remember that were 21-0, 28-0, 35-7, 21-7, 30-6. Like they weren't even slightly competitive. You could argue the
Mhm.
Texans game because CJ Stroud like couldn't stop vomiting all over himself.
Or giving the
And
ball
so
away.
or giving the ball away. And I mean like I Mike Tomlin started off through his first number of years 5-1 in the postseason, which is legitimately extremely impressive. He was on a tear those first couple of years. After that 5-1 start, he proceeded to go 3-11 in the playoffs the rest of the way. And so while Mike Tomlin does deserve a mass amount of credit for his regular season success and for being the leader of men that he is irrefutably, and what a great culture builder he was, and how all of his players seem to respect him, and just he deserves credit for all of that. I think when you have officially tied an NFL record with Marvin Lewis, I think it's kind of irrefutable that the writing's on the wall. Would you not agree?
So, something that I noticed a few weeks back, every time the Pittsburgh Steelers would win, and the camera would come up to Mike Tomlin, and what did Mike Tomlin do?
Yeah.
I had never seen Mike Tomlin do that before.
He would do it I remember he did that at the end of what was it? Was it the Jets game from the Kenny Pickett year, or it was something like that?
Okay, but When he does it 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't mind that kind of stuff. I mean, like, I think
No,
that
no,
if you're
no.
gonna
What?
puff your
Follow. No,
chest
no,
and
no,
do
no,
that
no,
kind
no,
of
no, no,
stuff,
no. Follow me where I'm going with this, right?
okay, okay, okay.
I think he knew weeks ago that he was going to be done.
Ah,
Okay? I think he knew weeks ago that he was going to be done. You don't blow kisses at the end of games that you lose. You don't blow kisses to end of games that you win. That's just not something that I ever seen him do. Yeah, he did it that one time with the for the Jets with the Kenny Pickett, but that was jest. This I think had more meaning because the last couple weeks he did it. Okay, the last couple weeks he did it. Go back and look. You'll see when the camera comes, like right at the end of the game. Man, he's right
okay.
there. Like you can see him. There's quite a few of them out there. I think he knew before a couple weeks ago. I think he knew that he was going to be done. That he had made that decision. Now, whether or not it was part of the family decision or whatnot or whatever, look, he's his own man, and it's his life. He can do whatever he wants, right? He doesn't have to come to work tomorrow, right? He can call and say I'm done, which is what he
Mhm.
did, right?
Yeah,
Um okay,
I
your
wasn't up in arms
choice.
about that, you know.
Yeah. My thing is this. I still think he should have had a press conference to make that announcement because they did it for uh Chuck Noll, they did it for Bill Cowher. Now Bill Cowher did the same thing. Bill Cowher stepped away,
Hmm.
right? They didn't fire him. He stepped away.
Hmm.
But he still had a press conference to tell the world, I'm done.
Hmm.
All right. I'm not saying that Mike Tomlin owes anybody anything. I just think it was a little bit interesting that he didn't have a
I do
press
think
conference.
it's interesting. I do think that
Okay.
it says something. I know some people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't read too far into that." No, I think there's something to read into there. That's for sure.
Well, now, see, we're starting to stack up some things now. Blowing kisses at the end of games 3 weeks before you leave, right? His press conferences are always been pseudo cryptic,
He seemed very burnt out this year in his press
right?
conferences.
Right. Okay. Like he had very little patience for the questions.
The last
Okay.
couple of years, man, like anytime that anybody would ask him like any kind of remotely like hard question, it was always just like the scold and stare at them. And it's like, dude, like this is journalism. You have to ask questions. Like, but I get it after so many years of public scrutiny, especially through a lot of, there's a lot of jagoffs in the Pittsburgh media. There's a lot of jagoffs in Steeler Nation. That's definitely for sure. And there's a lot of things he had to deal with that other coaches don't have to deal with. And I think that also plays a factor.
Yeah.
But I think after so many years of scrutiny, if he wanted to just kind of send in his letter of resignation and bounce, good for him. I'm glad he was spotted at what was it, that hockey game or whatever, supporting his family. Good for him.
At his daughter's gymnastics event is where he
Oh,
was
okay. I just
spotted.
saw him like up in the stands. I didn't know what it was actually for.
Look, we have all seen what playing in the NFL does to families. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And how hard it is to have a family when you're in the NFL. And I'm all for people having kids and families and everything else like that. But if you're going to play in the NFL, look, you're going to get out when you're in your 30s. You're still relatively young. You're still relatively healthy. Why don't you wait till you're done playing in the league to start having kids? Maybe
I
just,
agree.
just think about that once. Look, I get it. Okay, because you're in love and you're married and you want to have children, you want to have a family, and that's God is telling us to do that. Multiply and procreate and spread the gospel. Okay, but to see, and that's the hard thing, because that's a decision that each family has to make. Each athlete has to make that decision on their own. You know what I mean? And then that's what they have to deal with, right? So I understand him wanting to be in dad mode now, that he's not coaching football anymore. And Bill Cowher did the same thing, went through the same thing, right? He's got daughters that played basketball, in another
Mhm.
state, and all he wanted to do was go watch his kids play.
Mhm.
Right. So when he wasn't in Pittsburgh coaching, he was down there watching them play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that's not a horrible thing for a dad to go watch his kids play sports. Here's the
No.
thing this is what I'm getting at here on this. I'm I'm very disappointed in some of the folks out there that are making death threats and
Oh,
saying all these horrible, wretched things. Look, I understand that Mike Tomlin was
get a
a
little
coach.
closer to the mic, pal.
I understand that Mike Tomlin was coach for 19 years, and I understand that that could have been all your whole life. Okay, and I get
Mhm.
that. But he is a human being just like everybody else. And he has a right to go and do whatever he wants to do because he's a human being and he's able to make that decision. If
Mhm.
he doesn't want to coach this team anymore, that is on him.
Mhm.
Okay? And
And he stepped down. He wasn't fired or anything. He
right.
stepped down and decided it was time. And it's actually because Rooney didn't want to make that decision. It's because he wanted to bring him back that he said, "Okay, it's time to step away."
That is another thing I think we need to talk about
Whether Rooney wanted
because
to do another year of it, another
no,
year of
that
the
Rooney
carousel.
wasn't that Rooney was the one that said, "I'm not going to be the one to fire Mike Tomlin."
Yeah, yeah, he was
Well,
down for another year of the carousel.
you should have been the one, you
You sh-
know?
I think
I'm
it worked out exactly the way it should have. Like that, he wasn't fired. He got to step down. And he split, and that's fine. Good for him.
so
It took all of the focus off of that 30-6 massacre in the playoffs.
so now here comes the big question now. Okay? You basically just lost the face of your franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's face it, when Ben retired,
Oh yeah, yeah, it was
right?
Tomlin all the way.
It was Tomlin all the way because there was nobody else on the team, not even TJ Watt.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, TJ Watt, heck of a great player, blah, 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 but he's not the emotional leader of the team, right? That was Cam Hayward.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's probably Cam. Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's not TJ Watt. That's not his thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here we go. We've seen the list of coaches that the Steelers are going to interview and the whole 9 yards, right? And here and as far as I'm concerned, the Pittsburgh Steelers is probably the most coveted job in the NFL. And the reason why I
Certainly
say
right
that,
now.
well, yeah, I mean, would you really want to coach in Cleveland? I mean, would you?
Nah.
Right? I mean, you saw what happened. John Harbaugh went to the Giants. That was quick.
That's going to be an interesting one. I have no idea how I feel about that, especially with all the other candidates they had available that they just hopped straight at John Harp. That's interesting to me.
I'm curious though, did they interview a minority coach for the position?
I have no earthly idea, and I don't.
Hmm. Gee, I wonder what the fallout is going to be with that.
I don't know. The Giants have a history of just kind of signing bad head coaching hires. Not necessarily all of them, but like think about the good head coaches that the Giants have had through the years, and it's like Tom Coughlin and
Bill Parcells.
Well, yeah, then you have to go all the way back to Parcells to find like another one that you can say is definitively great.
Right, right. Tom Coughlin was pretty good. Took him to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you won 2 Super Bowls against Bill Belichick.
I
That's
mean,
no one
I
else can
mean,
say that.
I mean, what? As far as I'm concerned, and Parcells won a Super Bowl with the Giants,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I mean, hey, but okay. Of the and here's the other thing too. That's the kicker with the Pittsburgh Steelers is that the entire coaching staff contracts expire on February 1st, and
Isn't that strange?
the statement was from management that all of Mike Tomlin's assistant coaches are urged to seek out other opportunities in the league
Yeah.
because your contract will not be renewed.
I feel like Faulkner should stay, and I feel like Danny Smith should stay. But outside of that, I don't really know who else I'd want.
So here's what's going to happen. Okay. And I know this is not what anybody wants to hear. And I know that this is the last thing that people are expecting, and blah, 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 blah. You just lost the head coach. You have not been a relevant team for 10 years
Mhm.
or more. The
Yep.
last time you were relevant was 2010. How many years ago was that? 15,
Long time ago.
right? You haven't been relevant for 15 years. Okay. So, what is another 3 more years? This team has to outright stink for the next couple years. And I'm telling you why they have to stink for the next couple years. You can't buy people to come in and play for you and expect to win championships. You've been doing it with quarterbacks now since Ben retired, right? And that has not worked. Okay? The fact that Tomlin has no quarterback history or development, or he's
At
never
all.
drafted a quarterback that has been able to stay with the team to learn under Ben or whatever. And look, I don't care what Roethlisberger says or does or what he thinks or feels, okay? But in the reality of it, you got 3 years left. I'm bringing somebody in.
Yeah. If you want to have a Brett Favre moment and then take the rest of your like the end of your prime elsewhere, then that's your prerogative, I guess. But yeah, but Ben will, there's a big common sentiment from Steeler Nation. I've seen it in comment sections before. Is like, yeah, I think we all kind of agree that at least part of this problem stems from Ben squealing like a pig under a gate every time they tried to have some kind of plan for life after him. Like nobody, like Mason Rudolph was a decent value in the third round when we took him there at the time. And for him to be like as like not hostile, but like passive aggressive about it
Yeah,
as
he
he
was
was is a
very
perfect
standoffish
example.
on him. Yeah, he was very standoffish on him.
It's like,
There
dude, the
that
guy
was
was
a
a raw third round rook. I think you're okay.
you could have taken him under your wing and
Nah.
showed him the ropes and taught him how to be a professional quarterback. But so you don't want to have any legacy like that either, do you? Okay. All right, no problem. Um, but I want to get back to what I was talking about earlier. You have draft picks from fifth from 20th back. See, this is what happens when you don't have a losing season
Yeah.
for 15 years. Okay. You get to pick 20th every year. Okay. And everybody on the planet knows, okay, that the best players in the NFL draft are in the top 10. And then once you get past the top 10, it drops off significantly as to players that are going to make your team, be a starter, be a contributor, be a Pro Bowl guy, be a whatever, right? Top 10, that's it. And you're picking 20. Now, you got lucky when you picked Ben 11th, right?
Yeah.
You
And that's
got
only
lucky,
because Cleveland passed up on him and whatnot.
and you got lucky when you picked Palomalu. What was
Yeah.
he like, 17th or something stupid like that, right? Or whatever,
We got
right?
generationally lucky when we got TJ Watt at 29.
But you're picking 29th. You,
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying here, right? Okay,
Yeah.
you got lucky. TJ Watt fell into your lap. See, I don't want to have guys fall into the lap. I want to have the team have the war board up and go, we're picking in the top five no matter what.
See, and I think that this like reliance on talent thing is part of the problem. Is this like, well, we have to have some mega ultra talented guy at every position for us to win? And it's like, man, the 49ers got demolished this past weekend, but they have been like in the hunt while having like half their roster on IR since the beginning of the season, basically.
Not
Like
to mention, not to mention Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Purdy.
He's been to what? A Super Bowl? He's up for MVP. He's in the playoffs again. I mean, what more does this guy have to do?
Guy's a Terminator, I swear.
You know
But
what
it,
I
it
mean?
but it's one of those things where like, yeah, but like, look, injuries happen, man. These things happen, and I think the really good coaches, the really elite coaches out there, are good at getting people into situations where they can make up for lack of production. I think that the Steelers had some kind of hilariously horrible record without TJ Watt, some like elite borderline undefeated record with TJ Watt, and I feel like that kind of stuff is part of the problem, man.
It absolutely is. It This is the one thing that I will forever harp on Mike Tomlin about, because he failed so miserably at it. And all he did was talk about situational ball, and all he did was fail at it miserably. Okay.
You're
And what
not
I mean,
wrong.
okay, right? Situational football means you got to have the right guy, the right player in the right position at the right time.
Mhm.
That's part of it, right? That's part of it. You got to have the right people in place at the right time. That's what is called situational ball. I
It's
mean,
also just no, but I mean, it's also just like the lack of like it didn't feel, and I mean, again, I know that this isn't really a tangible stat, but it really did feel like every time that we should have punted, we went for it. Every time we went for it, we should have just punted or kicked the field goal. We would be down like 21-10 to the Patriots, where we could kick a field goal and go within one score, and we're like, no, we're gonna go for it on a pointless like fourth and
and
three
get
and make
nothing.
Mitch throw the ball and get
And get
nothing.
nothing. Yeah, and get no, walk away with no points. How many times have we?
Congratulations, you're still down by 2 scores now.
Yeah, exactly. Right. No pressure. No pressure. One thing that I noticed watching the playoff games these past couple of days is the in-game adjustments
Mm-hmm.
from the defensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, when the offense is running something and it's working and you're on the defense, you got to figure out, maybe I should do some adjustments here to make this stop working. Situational football failed. Okay? This is why I think that this team needs to basically blow it up, trade them away, start from the beginning, take rip it down to the studs, a frame off restoration. You were rebuilding the last 3 years or 4 years or however many years it's been since Ben is retired. You've been retooling since then. Nah, you got to rip it down to the studs, man, and do it right.
I agree. It's been a lot of band-aids on top of band-aids on top of band-aids, and it's not really they felt like every season felt like a get rich quick scheme, you know.
That's oh my gosh, that's the perfect way to put that, dude. That's perfect.
And I mean, again, he deserves credit for being over 500 and never like plummeting to the depths like other franchises do. But a lot of it felt like let's say after 2016, 2017, once the Killer Bees disbanded fully, a lot of it felt like fool's gold. That 11-0 run, for as much as we enjoyed it, I think we all kind of knew that there was a cap on it somewhere.
Yeah, like we were just waiting for that other foot to drop. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
Like, yeah, we're 11-0. Yeah, right. It's like that
for
picture of the
now.
horse. Yeah, it's like that picture of the horse that starts off perfectly beautiful, right, and then ends with the stick figure at the end, right? You know what I mean?
100%.
Right. Okay, that's how that season was. But I am I'm not kidding when I talk about the fact that the Steelers need to suck, and I hate to say it like that, but and the best talent that you're going to get is in the top part of the draft. And if you're not picking in the top part of the draft, look, I get it. I understand that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season, quote unquote. 8-8 is a losing season as far as I'm concerned because you didn't win anything. You didn't win the division. You didn't win a playoff game, and now you're picking 20th. So what? How is that a winning season? Because you sold out every game? That's a winning season?
Well, remember the record used to be winning seasons, but then he got a couple 8-8s, and then it became non-losing seasons. Oh, there we go.
Look, as a Steelers fan, it's a birthright to be in the playoffs. And if you ain't in the playoffs, that's a losing season.
Come on. Look, so
follow me on this, right? Follow me on this, right? I spent 20 some years watching Chuck Noll just decimate the NFL, right? Making playoffs and championships and Super Bowls. And then I watched Bill Cowher come in and kind of do the same. Now, the only thing that Bill Cowher couldn't quite do was win that championship game to get to the Super Bowl. Right?
Beat
but
Belichick.
He was in right. He was in playoff games and would win, and he would win the division title year after year. And he in the winter time, there was always a playoff game in Pittsburgh. Right? Yeah. For the most part, all of through Chuck Noll's years, and for the most part, all of Bill Cowher's years. Yeah. And for the most part, kind of, sort of, with Mike Tomlin. Not nearly as much because we didn't win as many. Okay. The next coach that's going to come in here is going to have a lot to do. And I think that they should probably consider trading away some guys. Because these are Mike Tomlin guys.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying here?
Expensive veterans.
Right. The next guy, what can we get for TJ? Look, I hate to say this. I can't believe I'm even going to say it. But what can we get for TJ? Who's going to pick up that contract? Nobody.
True. Right? That extension was crazy.
That extension pretty much retired him in Pittsburgh. And you can't buy the contracts out like you can in the NHL. Right? You can't buy contracts out here in the NFL. Right? You can put them on waivers, but you're really going to anyway. But whoever picks him up then is responsible for his contract, and then the person that puts the guy on waivers is responsible for the other 50% of the contract. So no matter how you slice it, you're going to be paying for TJ Watt until he's retired. But who else could we trade? Look, I'm telling you right now, Cam Hayward's going to retire.
Yeah, probably.
Right? Okay, so more than likely, Aaron Rodgers ain't coming back. I've already seen releases.
Oh yeah, no, he's not coming back either.
I've already seen releases of him not coming back, not just to Pittsburgh, but whatever. Okay. Well, who else is left on the team that we could potentially trade away to get some picks?
Well, I don't know who there is to trade and who I'd want to trade are very different questions.
I agree. Yeah,
because there's a difference between expensive veterans that you can maybe get some value for and solid building blocks. Like I would never in a million years want to trade Joey Porter Jr. I think the guy's way too talented and he's a good building block for the future defense.
Right.
In terms of Cam's going to retire, but like Cam would be an example of someone in that kind of boat that has a more expensive contract that you would maybe want to find. But who's gonna pick him up? Who's really gonna pick him up now? This isn't Madden, you know what I mean? So
at his age, right?
Yeah, and his age, and with the way they extended him and all that. I don't know. So I don't know who I'd want to move necessarily, and I'm glad I don't have to make those decisions. I think that more than getting new players, which obviously a quarter of the roster, a third of the roster, half the roster is going to be different to replace. But I think more than that massive roster layover, because we've seen massive roster layovers year after year here in the Steel City the last few years, and it hasn't made, any difference. I think that more than anything, the new coach, the new coordinators, and the new mindset, fingers crossed, knock on wood, is going to do way more for that than just the new personnel.
And this is what I mean by you have to stink for a couple years because you got to get those higher draft picks. Because if you want to build that winning call, look, all you have to do is look at the teams that were really bad and now look at where they are now.
Hmm.
Look at where New England was last year. Where are they now? Look at where the Broncos were. They drafted Bo Nix, which man, that was a horrible injury. I can't believe that.
Oh, that's brutal. And after that great game,
I know, right?
my buddy is
Anyway,
a my buddy, one of my best friends, and he would do my roommate in college is a Broncos fan. And like so anytime that like I see that they're in the playoffs and we're not, I'm always kind of loosely rooting for the Broncos. And so find that they freaking beat Josh Allen and lose their quarterback is just the biggest dagger I've ever
yeah,
heard.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that means it's basically going to be New England and Seattle because
What?
I think New England and Seattle because I don't
Yeah.
think the Broncos are going to beat New England, and I think New England's going to
Nah.
beat the Chargers or whoever they're playing today.
They just need to sign Philip Rivers. They just need to sign Phil, and
you
everything will
know,
be okay.
right? Okay. But in order to get those draft picks, you have to be in the bottom part of the league, and I know that means being down there with the likes of the Cleveland Browns. Okay,
Hmm.
and I understand that that's going to mean seeing a team like Cincinnati or Baltimore or even Cleveland potentially winning a division, right? I get it. Okay, I understand how much that hurts and how much that's painful. Okay, seeing your team lose is always a horrible thing. Okay, that's not what you're in this business to do. You're not in this business to lose. Okay,
Hmm.
but let me ask you a question. Do you have more respect for a coach who came into a team that was kind of, let's say, lackluster, medium, right? And man, they lost the first 2 years. Man, they were 1-16 or 1-15 or 2-14 or whatever, right? Like in 2 years, they only won 3 games, right? But then that next year, right? Oh, first playoff appearance, right? And then up, you miss the playoffs for a couple years, and then boom, back into the playoffs again after a couple of first round draft picks, right? Now you're in the
I don't
playoffs
know.
again, and then boom, you make it to the Super Bowl and you win.
I feel like you would never
Let me
get
throw
past
this
the
at
first
you.
two seasons.
Let me throw this at you. That was the start of Chuck Noll's career in Pittsburgh. He
Right.
was hired in 1969, and this team sucked. And his first 2 years stunk. I think he won 3 or 4 games,
Yeah.
right? They got the very first number one overall draft pick in 1970, the one and only from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they drafted Terry Bradshaw.
Hmm.
By 1975, 6 years after he started, he had the culture, he had the players, he had the draft picks, he had the coaches, and bang, 4 Super Bowls in 6 years. That's the kind of coach that I want. That's the kind of guy I want to see come into Pittsburgh. Somebody that's going to take a team that's dirt and bring them up. Okay? I don't care
So,
about a guy that came in and said, yeah, we stayed the status quo the whole time I was here. We never got any better, but we never got any worse. You know what I mean? I have way more respect for a coach that's going to come in and take a team that's downtrodden, like what happened with Jimmy Johnson and the Cowboys. They stunk. They won 1 game and he turned them around and they won how many Super Bowls with him?
true,
Uh,
true.
okay, right? I have way more respect for a Jimmy Johnson coach than I do for a Mike Tomlin type coach who just maintained the status quo year after year. I mean, I could have done that.
So, when you talk about a coach coming in, bringing in his own guys, and establishing something kind of within a year or two, kind of right off the bat, so to speak.
Oh, it's not going to take a year or two. It can't. It can't.
Well, let me ask you this then. So there's this long. Okay, let me rewind a little bit. Do you remember earlier this year this report came out during the season, mind you? This is like 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks in. where it was reported that the Steelers made some kind of statement to Chris Shula that if something were to like if Mike Tomlin were to step down or something, that they would be interested in him. I have no idea why I didn't take that more seriously, because that wasn't just like some rumor, that was like that was confirmed from what I understand, and it was really strange because you would never ever hear that from
Not not
a Mike
mid-season.
Tomlin team.
Not
And
mid-season.
so fast forward to now, where Chris Shula is the favorite to be our new head coach, and the
You think?
rumor is that that's the well, he Vegas odds have him as the favorite, with Flores being number two. And I think that Shula, a little bit of what the rumors going on is that if Shula gets the head coaching position, that he's going to bring in Chillz in as his offensive coordinator. And if, should that be the case, I think that that can be something that can establish like a brand new way of the offense and a brand new culture kind of right away. What do you think about that?
I think it's. I honestly feel that the next coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to be Flores or Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame or something
I don't
like
know if
that.
Freeman's going to do that just because he's all tangled up in his contract right
I
now.
get it. No, I get it, but I think it's going to be something along those lines. If Chris Shula is the guy, look, that would be great. If he could bring in that kid, that guy from the Rams, that would be great. Who are you going to bring?
Chillz.
Who are you going to bring in as DC?
Flores. No, I have no idea. Can you
So do
imagine? Can
you
you even
think that he
imagine?
would come back again as DC under a different head coach and not be the head coach here?
I don't think so. No,
I
I
don't
think we're
either.
just spitballing here. Like, I think, listen, Flores, like, actually, and Flores even got the Mike Tomlin seal of approval. I remember that when he was here a couple years ago, Mike Tomlin, he was quoted as saying Flores is the best coach that is not a head coach that he's ever been around, and it's not even a close second. And I totally believe that. And I think when you get that big of a stamp of approval from a guy like Coach T, I think that can carry you far, especially in the Steelers organization. So I think that if it's not Chris Shula, that's my prediction. Is go. We can have a whole show about about the
Oh, we
potential head
will.
coaching candidates. We
Oh,
got
we
to.
will.
But like if we're spoiling a little bit of it right now, I think the favorites are Shula or Flores, and I'll tell you what, I'll be over the moon with either of those guys. If it's Shula, that'll be cool because we're going to be basically the Rams light, and we'll see how that works. But if it's B
This
Flow, that's
is
going to be an
this is
entirely
why I'm.
one second. I was saying if it's
Yep.
B Flow, it's going to be a 180 on the culture, where now we're going to have a bit of a disciplinarian. We'll see how some of the players enjoy that. I don't think they will.
Let me ask you a question. Well, they didn't like it when Mike Tomlin first came in because he did the same thing. His first two training camps were horrible, ugly,
Oh yeah,
just mean, wretched work, sweat, blood, tears, because he had to establish that he was the head coach.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he was going to do it his way,
Mm-hmm.
right? All right. So let me ask you a question. How old is Chris Shula?
Good question. Mid 30s,
Mid 30s.
mid
How
late
old is
30s.
how old is B Flow?
Beef flow is early 40s.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's look at some things historically, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
When Chuck Noll was hired, he was 36.
Mm-hmm.
When
Bill
Bill
Cowher.
Cowher was hired, he was 34.
Mm-hmm.
When Mike Tomlin was hired, he was
32, I think.
right.
Yeah,
Correct.
youngest head coach
32.
in NFL history at the
Right.
time.
At the time. Right. Okay. I don't think B Flow is going to come back here and be the head coach. I really just don't think that's going to be the case because he's too old and because they've seen his culture, they've seen what kind of a person he's going to be. I think the
Unless
Steelers
they
need to
like it.
follow, unless I think they need to follow their normal line of history and hire that guy from way out in left field that nobody's ever heard of, that's never coached in the NFL, right? And young, and come in and make the culture here in Pittsburgh, like the guy from. I'm really excited about the hire that Penn State did. they brought in that Iowa State guy, Brian Campbell, right? And I'm going to tell you something. He's going to change the culture up there in Penn State. Okay.
I heard that Penn
Everybody,
State's previous head coach was basically Mike Tomlin. Is that
James
true?
Franklin, James
Yeah, I heard
Franklin
he's basically Mike Tomlin at the college level.
couldn't win the big game, and any team that was ranked above him couldn't beat him. He only won one game against a ranked opponent. That was Ohio State 3 years ago. Yeah. He didn't start winning games until they went to the playoffs last year, and they bucked it all the way to the national championship and lost the game before to get into the national championship.
Tough scene.
And Oregon went instead of Penn State because Oregon beat Penn State to go on to play in the national championship.
Are they, is Oregon still like the team
Yeah.
that just does a million screen passes every game?
Well, I don't know about that, but they're still a relevant team and they're still in the fight,
Good for them.
right? It's Oregon against Indiana, I think, is for the national title this year.
My Army Black Knights did not do as well this year.
No,
I'm not bitter.
but I do like the fact that there is now a dedicated Saturday for the Army Navy game,
Mhm.
right? I really
Mhm.
like that. I really like that. That it's dedicated Saturday, that no other college football team can be on the broadcast or anything. 4 hour window to broadcast this game, right? I love it.
4 hours, triple options from both sides.
Right. How many Army Navy games have you watched?
Uh, like one or two. Like they're a little
They're not.
silly. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they're yeah. I probably watched
With
like
respect.
yeah, no. I've watched like 4 or 5.
Okay.
Okay. I've watched 4 or 5. And I watched a couple from way back. Like the games from way back were way better
Mm,
because they were way more competitive, right?
yeah.
The games that are happening now, it's very one-sided. You know what I mean? One team is usually very much better than the other team, and it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter. It switches back and forth from year to year. So, okay, but it's a tradition that's been part of this country for, gosh, we're going on nigh on 100 years on this game,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Right?
Back when
So,
football was just rugby with more like head trauma somehow
and less padding.
and less padding.
And less padding, right? And a bigger round football, you know. But okay, so we're both in the consensus that it was time for Mike Tomlin to step down or get fired or
Yeah.
leave or actually, honestly, my opinion, he should have been gone 10 years ago. But
I
that's just
loosely
my
agree.
opinion. I,
I think
I
that the Jags game would have been a
yes,
solid time to call it.
I do too be, because that was such a stab in the heart,
Hmm.
that game. You know what I mean?
And it was such
And
a flame out.
it was. And the fact that there's no coaching tree for Tomlin, there's no quarterback development under Tomlin. I mean, I think he's done this team a huge disservice.
He definitely did not leave it in a better state than he found it. I think that's pretty
That's
fair
the
to say.
truth. That is definitely the truth. I mean, seriously, you took over the team when you pretty much had Hall of Fame Ben, you still had Troy, you still had Harrison, you still had I mean, you still had a good portion of that team that was there in '08.
17 17 of the 22 starters that Tomlin had were descendants of Cower.
And they lasted for until they almost made it to the second Super Bowl that Tomlin went to in 2010. Because he still had Ben at that point. He still had a couple other guys that were still around at that point.
I give the 2010 team a little more leeway just because it was like 5 years by that point. It was a
Yep.
lot of different players. Mike Wallace was there, and all that. I don't care so much about that one, but if I were to just put this into perspective, 77% of their starters were Howard draftees and whatnot. Really, the only major difference between the '05 and '08 squads, I mean, obviously the bus wasn't there, but outside of that, it was that our offensive line was much worse, and that's about it.
Because let's face it, I don't care what anybody says. Look, I played this position for 10 years.
Mm.
And Marquise Pouncey played the position really well for his first couple years, but his last few years,
Yeah, another guy that maybe held on a year or two too long.
dude, look, when you're playing an all pro level at center, which Marquise Pouncey was, he
Oh
was
yeah,
playing at an all pro
yeah.
level. And I don't know what happened, but suddenly the balls started sailing over Ben's head.
It drove me crazy.
I played the position for 10 years, right?
Hmm.
And the only way that you're shooting that ball up over his head is because you're gunning it back there, right? You're not supposed to just gun that ball back. It's supposed to be a light little, it's a
What do you
little
think might have
dirt.
been causing that?
Well, the fact that he had to suddenly block a bunch of people in front of him because he wasn't, look, as good as everybody thought Marquise Pouncey was, he was good at pulling. He was good at that, and he had good first steps, right? But he wasn't gap sound, okay?
That's
Right? He
fair.
wasn't, right? He wasn't. He wasn't gap sound. And he didn't know the defenses until he was a couple years in,
Hmm.
right? The guards and the quarterback had to call the defenses. He couldn't,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Okay. So, like I said, he played good for his first couple years, but I got to be honest with you. I like Frazier.
I do
I
too.
really like Frazier as the center. I really like him. I like McCormick,
I do
right?
too.
And I like Anderson.
I like
I really,
Fautanu as well. I don't want to.
yes,
He had a bad game. He had a bad game, and he deserves to have that said about him. But I would by no means give up on that kid. He's very
right.
good.
I agree. I agree. And the kid that was on defense, our defensive nose tackle that we drafted.
Ooh, wait, are we talking about Benton? Because Benton's not a nose tackle, but they've been
No, no, no,
using
no,
him as a
no,
nose tackle.
no.
Oh, you're talking about Derek Harmon.
Derek Harmon, dude,
He's
he's
very
gonna
good.
be, he's gonna be, he's. Don't get rid of him. Don't get rid of Derek Harmon.
No, no, you
No,
can't get rid of Derek.
but blow everybody else up. Look, if you're not
That's
gonna,
the
if
thing
you're
is
not,
like that. No, but that's the thing is like everybody's talking about how unattractive this head coaching vacancy is, like because of our roster, and I just don't see it, man. I think we have some solid building blocks. It's just a couple of key holes that hopefully whoever we get can fill.
you got tight end covered.
Oh
You
my
got
god,
some.
for the next 10 years.
You got the some of the best tight ends on the planet playing for you,
Hmm. You
right?
got Darnell.
And you got Pat Fryermuth. And
Hmm. Got Darnell and Muth.
maybe the next coach will actually, and Johnu Smith, right? So you got three of some of the best tight ends, right? Seriously. Yeah, I get it, Kittle, and yeah, I get it, Kelsey, and yeah. But Kelsey's at the end, and he's going to go
Hmm.
down as probably one of the best tight ends with the most yards, the most
Yeah,
catches, the most touchdowns, whatever. Cool,
and
great.
so is
I
Kittle.
love, yeah, right, and I love seeing those records broken, and that's great, right? But here's the problem with Kittle availability,
Yeah,
right? And for the most part, Pat Fryermuth has only missed a handful of games in his time here so far,
yeah.
and I
It feels like
mean,
he's missed more though because they don't throw him the ball.
right? He's dressed. He's not out there on the field, but he's
And
dressed
open. He is
and
open, but
open.
they
Yeah,
just
he is open.
know.
So okay, so now that's going to be my next question. The next coach in here, are they going to blow up the team or because I'm thinking you might going to be able to have to trade some guys to try to get some draft picks because let's face it, you made it to the playoffs this past year, so guess where you're picking? 20th or
21.
21st or 20 okay, right? So it's not you're going to have to trade up. So you're going to have to get some you're going to have to get some draft capital.
I so there's two ways to go about this, right? Because there's the if we become the Rams light, like if we hire Chris Shula and then he brings in Shilhass and he does all this and he kind of turns that leaf over. That's definitely one way that they can kind of fix it and mitigate it. And like if that's the case, for instance, like I would hate for them to blow this roster up because I think that that's we've seen that like the McVay style can work with like 12 personnel, let's say. So I don't really see any reason to like blow it up and get rid of everybody. Like I think that this is when they said don't rebuild, reload, when they would talk about Mike Tomlin teams, I feel like that got lost in translation because a lot of it was just maintenance. I feel like this, like getting a new head coach and building on top of what we already have, I think is actually a much stronger example to don't rebuild, reload.
The problem is that you can't do both at the same time. You can't rebuild slash retool, whatever you want to call it, and try to win now.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? You can't. It doesn't work. Right?
And we don't have the draft capital to trade up to get a quarterback or anything.
Eventually, you're going to hit that wall where you're going to run out of talent.
Mm.
Okay? And when you run out of talent, then there's nothing else out there to win games for you. You get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So, um there's probably a couple guys on the team that'll probably potentially I don't know. The fact that they made all these moves at the end of this season to try to I don't know, make Tomlin happy. I mean, they got rid of uh uh Beanie Bishop. They got rid of some guys that I thought were pretty good players that I guess they didn't want to toe the line or whatever the case was. And Tomlin was
Same
like,
with
all right,
Minka.
right? Yeah, right. You're out of here, right? I mean, I'm how do you drive all these great players away and then keep the crappy ones? Like I don't, you know what I mean? Like I don't get that.
I No, I don't get it either. And I mean, like Minka had not been producing like his contract was saying he should have. So I think that that is another there's another element there. But you saw him arguing with Terrell Austin, and I remember seeing that and thinking, "Oh, Minka's going to be gone within like a year or so." And sure
Sure
enough,
enough.
it's just one of those things. And I don't know if Minka really had I don't know how much of his production or lack of it was the scheme and how much of it was him. I'm not smart enough to know those kind of things. But I don't think that it's coincidental that another guy who was outspoken about not liking the way things are was shipped off immediately after.
So it has a lot to do with what I talked about at the beginning of the show, situational football. You have a defensive backfield that is packed full of some of the best man on man guys on the planet.
Mm,
Jalen Ramsey, man on an island. What? Okay. And what do you have him doing? Run support,
yeah.
playing center field,
And in fairness,
right?
Jalen Ramsey, like that's the playing safety and whatnot is kind of where he should have been at that point in his career. If you were going to try and, make Ramsey Island work in the Big 26, like that was something, or in the Big 25, that's something people in the offseason were like, yeah, Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Ramsey, and DK. Like if this is, 2018 or whatever, we'd be thrilled.
Um, that's the other thing that you need to be concerned about on this defense is that you have guys that are Joey Porter Jr. is one of the best combat man on man cornerbacks, and you drafted him first pick in the second day, right? And he's been a starter pretty much since his first year. He came out starting, right? And you got him playing zone. Now he's got good closing speed, but he's not fast enough. So that's why you're seeing all the penalties because he's trying to make up for the fact that he has to catch up to these guys instead of running with them. He has
Yeah.
the speed, he has the body control, he has the ability to run with these guys and shut them down if given the opportunity. He's got the size, he's got all the tools, right? He just needs the opportunity. You can't just go, yeah, run out 5 yards, just kind of hang out there, and anybody that comes running by, you go tackle him. The
Let
next
him complete
defensive
everything in front of you. It's all good.
no, the next defensive person that comes in here has to be about playing these guys in the correct scheme. You got all these man on man guys, right? Eccles and all these guys are man on man guys. Why
Mm.
aren't you playing man on man? You're playing this zone crap. And all it does is it just allows teams to run up and down the field and score at will. I mean,
Hmm.
we've seen it for how many years now? This bend but don't break attitude on defense. The Tomlin cover two does not work. Okay, so the next defensive guy that comes in here better have something else.
You know, call this like call this overly pessimistic, call it borderline conspiratorial, but I really think that at a certain point after, let's say 2019, because 2019 was their last real elite defense. After that, it
Yeah,
was kind of hit or miss or just flat out bad. But
yeah.
2019 was the last elite defense. And I swear to goodness, I really think at a certain point after that, that they just kind of couldn't figure out how to stop NFL offenses. And so it became more about bend but don't break and give up 3 points as opposed to seven all the time. That sounds, I don't know if that sounds ridiculous, but really it felt like for a long time it was just keep backing up and keep letting them complete everything, which like Vic Fangio plays that style of defense, but he also knows how to get stops.
And you also have to understand too, it's the players that need to make the stops. It's the players. The coach can't do any of that stuff. But the coach has to put the player in the situation where they can be successful to make those stops. If you're
Mm-hmm.
not calling the right plays on defense or you don't have the right people in place to do the right job, then it doesn't really matter. You're going to always bend and never break because they're going to be able to, you understand what I'm saying? They're just
You're
going to
going
be
to
able to
bend
put
into a
them
pretzel.
right. You're just going to let them run up and down the field all day long. Okay? That nobody wants to see that. Okay? And and if you're going to take the ball away, then you damn sure better have enough offense underneath your butt to go put some points on the board. Because seriously, there were 6 turnovers in the Houston Texans game. 6.
Isn't that crazy?
And we still lose that game? How the odds are choking on that because anytime that you're +3, you're a winner,
Yeah.
right? They put the stat up on the screen. Any team that's +3 in the turnover ratio wins the game. And what happened? We got 3 more turnovers and lost.
It was an embarrassing display. And you knew kind of like the second that they went down like 17-6, it felt like the whole team just deflated. Like just talking about this most recent game. I
Yeah.
don't know, man.
Let me
I'm
ask you a
excited for the
question.
future.
I am too,
Yeah.
but who you got as quarterback? Huh?
Oh God.
Right?
Oh
You got
man.
2 guys on the roster right now, right? You got Mason Rudolph and Will Howard. That's
Wason
it.
Rudolph and Will Howard. Like honestly, I see if it was Tomlin still running the team, I would have said Mason Rudolph starts week one with a bullet. But now I don't know what to think, man. I really don't know. I think the safe money would probably still be Mason Rudolph, but like honestly, God, like listen, I was a Mason truther for a long time, but I think going to the Titans really just destroyed whatever momentum he kind of was building from his time in Pittsburgh, whatever that means. I'm just saying. And he came back and like he wasn't even as good as he was when he left. And he was a
No.
backup whenever he left. So I
Yeah.
mean, I like honestly screw it. If it's between that and Will Howard, just say screw it. Throw Will Howard out there. At least if he bombs up, if he stinks up the joint and just throws 4 picks and whatnot, hey, at least you gave it a try. No one's expecting anything of you this year.
That's going to be the thing with this team because it doesn't matter who the coach that comes in. These are the 2 quarterbacks you've got. Okay. You got a what? Will Howard is a 6th round draft pick quarterback, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Mason Rudolph is a 3rd round draft pick quarterback. Those are the only 2 quarterbacks you got on your roster. And this year is probably not the year you want to get a quarterback in the
No,
draft.
no, it's a pretty weak class.
Very weak class, right? In fact, the top guys that are going to go off the board aren't even quarterbacks,
Mm,
right? They're going to be defensive ends or safeties or wide receiver. You're not going to see a quarterback go number 1
nah.
overall this year. It's not going to happen, right?
Well, I think it
Riddle
might be
me
like
this.
1 and 2, but nobody after that.
Riddle me. No, I think the first 3 draft picks aren't going to be quarterbacks. They're going to be defense or defensive end or offensive tackles or something like that. I don't think they're going to be quarterback.
All right. Well, what's your question?
So this is the guys you got, right? You're gonna ride with Will Howard, right?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. All right. So you're gonna ride with Will Howard?
I'd ride with Will Howard.
I'd ride with Will Howard. I would not draft a quarterback this year. I would try to get a wide receiver this year because this year the wide receiver pool is really good.
Would you get a project QB in like let's say third, fourth, fifth, sixth round? I think I would.
You got
Why
one.
not?
You got
Well,
one.
yeah,
Will Howard, you got one,
true.
right? What? You got a project, you got a backup. Would you trade DK Metcalf?
I would sign Joe Flacco.
I would trade DK Metcalf in a second.
I would too. Who's going to take on that massive bloated whale of a contract? Like that's definitely a misfire by Omar for sure. I don't know who's going to take on that contract, but if anybody's silly enough to, then they're welcome to it. Not to say DK is like horrible or anything, but it's just like I would see comments from Seahawk fans that watch him drop those passes and just go, "Yep." So
I've never seen that. When you look at some of the best wide receivers to ever play, look, I'm not comparing DK Metcalf to the best wide receivers to ever play the game, but I'm talking about like we don't even have to go to the best wide receivers. You could just go to say Antonio Brown.
yeah,
You
yeah.
could go to Santonio Holmes. I'm picking guys right from the Steelers. Like I'm not even looking anywhere else in the league, right? On average, how many drops did Antonio Brown have in a game?
Zero.
One or zero, right? Or he would go for games at a time without a drop, right?
Hmm.
The same thing with some of the other receivers, Hines Ward and Santonio Holmes, very little drops, right?
Yeah.
DK averages 3 to 4 drops a game. A
Hmm.
game, 3 to 4 drops a game.
You need to be
That to me,
sure-handed.
that to me is not wide receiver one money.
No.
I mean, you could have probably given him a couple million a year as a nice contract, but not 13 or what is he making? $17 million a year, something stupid like that. They signed him for $130 million for 5 years or 6 years. Like, really? What?
No, it was a bad deal. I think we all kind of knew it was a bad deal when it got signed. And again, he's had some production, but it's just not worth the price tag.
So now you have tight ends. You got good backfield. You got pretty good offensive line. You got no wide receiver room. Seriously, let's face it, you don't. Right? Gainwell was probably going to be gone. He only signed a 1 year deal. Right?
Mm.
Right? He's probably going to be gone. Now you got Calvin Austin the third, who, let's face it, availability. And then you got Roman Wilson, who couldn't even catch a pass this year if he tried.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's got 4 catches on the year, right? If you're going to keep Pat Fryermuth, then use him,
Yeah.
right? Darnell Washington, use him too. Like, you got some talent. You got a TJ Watt on the end. You got an Alex Highsmith. You got some guys on defense. It's not like you need to necessarily blow this team up, right? Because you still have talent in spots. You just need to fill some of the holes,
I
right?
agree.
And some of the holes you need to fill would be safety, cornerback, wide receiver. Guess what's going to be really good in the draft this year? Wide
Pretty much all of
receiver,
those.
cornerback, safety. What? Pick some of them guys. Okay? Pick for need. Stop picking the best available athlete because that guy is not going to help you. If you have a wide receiver need and you draft the best athlete and he's a safety, well, what good does that do in your wide receiver room?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I never understood that concept. I'm drafting the best athlete. Okay, well, if he just happens to be a safety, then bonus, right?
Get another nickel safety. Congratulations.
No, right? So,
Yeah.
all right, we're gonna have to wrap this up here, man, because we've done talked enough about this.
And we got a whole new show next time about all the new head coaching candidates. I can't wait to get into that with
I
you. That's going
know,
to be fun.
right? Oh my gosh. So, hey, why don't you tell the folks where we can find all your great stuff there, my man Gage?
You can find my MMA content at Contender MMA, and you can find myself, Steel, Frayne, Steve, and everybody else, and all of our and all of our Steeler content that isn't on this channel at Five Star Matchup.
You know, we got to get 5 Star on, man, because we
Yeah, we
really
have to.
we got to get the
They will
man.
do it for the head coaching episode if he can find some time.
Yeah, we'll have to go over there and clunk him on the head or something, I think, maybe, and
Yeah,
drag him
yeah.
off. Thank you all very much for watching and tuning in, man. Look, we try to be as positive as we can. We try to be as gracious as we can. We want to see this team win. We want the stairway to seven as well. That's what we're all about. This is all about winning, okay? And it pains us to see this team lose and lose the way that they've been losing for the last however many years, okay? I'm grateful for the time that Mike Tomlin had in Pittsburgh, but don't let the door hit you. Okay? So sorry. Had to do that. Sorry, I had to do that. I wasn't a fan of his to begin with. I wanted another coach to come in. Mike Tomlin had his good time here in Pittsburgh. He was a good leader of men. We're going to have a discussion at some point about whether or not he deserves to go into the Hall of Fame. That's going to be for another show. But I just wanted to get Gage's reaction and share our reaction to everything that's happened in the last couple of days here with Steeler Nation. So thank you all very
Mm.
much for tuning in and checking us out. You can catch all my stuff at RNJ underscore media on X, and be sure to check out the YouTube channel. Please smash the like and subscribe button. We will be back next time on the next episode of The Huddle.